Peter Allen in person tomorrow on AM Philadelphia.
Action News, Delaware Valley's leading news program, with Jim O'Brien, Don Tollefson, and Jim Gardner.
Tuesday night, Jim Gardner's on vacation. I'm Marc Howard. Emergency crews work overtime tonight on a Camden highway, and Colin McNeil reports on the disappointment at the Penn Shipyard in Chester. But the big story on Action News tonight is the arraignment of an alleged kidnapper, a man who held an ex-girlfriend hostage through the long, hot afternoon in West Goshen, Chester County. Tonight, the suspect charged with kidnapping and other related charges. He's in jail under $100,000 bail.
The incident began to unfold shortly after 1 o'clock. 34-year-old Robert Riggs of Wagontown, Pennsylvania, near Coatesville, entered the liquor store, pulled out a .25 caliber revolver, and kept 5 employees at bay for more than 5 hours. Police thought it was a robbery until they learned one of the hostages, 34-year-old Elizabeth Jackson, whose maiden name is Frederick, was an ex-girlfriend. It was a long waiting game until Riggs decided to release 4 of the hostages, but still police sharpshooters kept their sights trained on the door. At one point, Riggs came to the door to get some food left by police officers. Throughout the telephone negotiations, he demanded $50,000 and safe passage to Venezuela. Parents of both the gunman and hostage stood vigil and at times broke down from the emotional strain. But it wasn't until his pastor, the Reverend Raymond Leslie of Parksburg, talked to him that Riggs decided to release Miss Jackson and give himself up.
Did you have any indication during the negotiations or during the standoff that you might lose this one, or was everything running pretty smoothly?
The negotiators felt that things were going pretty smoothly, and we had it pretty well in hand.
Riggs was taken to the West Goshen police station and later removed to an undisclosed location. His pastor would not talk to the media. He was quick to leave the police station. It was a tense standoff between police and Riggs, but in the end, the hostages are okay, and Riggs is in custody. Now police must sort out the facts of this case and find out what prompted Riggs to enter that liquor store. I'm Gary Majors, Channel 6 Action News in West Goshen, Chester County.
Police in Camden are still trying to piece together a violent accident that left 2 young men in critical condition. It happened here at the intersection of Route 130 and Mount Ephraim Avenue shortly before 8 tonight. The tractor-trailer was heading east, the 57 Thunderbird north on 130. Somehow the T-Bird ended up under the semi. The driver of the car, Richard Anstock, age 29 of Pennsauken, in critical condition tonight. Both he and a passenger, 15-year-old Mark Andre, again in critical condition. The truck driver was not injured in the accident. Camden City and County fire officials are still investigating a 2-alarm fire that hit 3 row houses in the 500 block of Vine Street tonight. We'll be talking about that more in a moment. Now let's talk first about Gloucester County, New Jersey officials who think they have a drowning on their hands tonight. Search crews are looking through the murky waters of the Delaware River looking for a trace of 19-year-old Gilberto Martinez of Camden. The young man went swimming with his brother off the coast of the Red Bank battlefield in National Park, New Jersey, when he went under. Divers finally gave up when the sun set. They'll resume the search for the victim in the morning. Bad economic news tonight for the depressed city of Chester. The Pennsylvania Shipbuilding Company lost the bid to refit the battleship Iowa. The contract will go to a Mississippi firm. Navy officials announced the decision today, and the commander of the Philadelphia Navy Yard told reporters how the decision was reached.
They looked at the Yard's management, its ability to plan the work. They looked at the Yard's resources, and they also looked at the Yard's capabilities.
Commander Hansen didn't comment on the Penn ship incident, but sources indicate the local yard's never done any major overhauls for the Navy. The Mississippi company has.
It had to be a blow to the shipyard. After all, in the past 18 months, the workforce had already dwindled from 4,200 to 1,000. And while Pennsylvania Shipbuilding President C.N. Payne confirmed by phone that the yard would continue to seek all commercial opportunities and repair work, the loss of the Iowa contract came as a shock to workers like Thomas Jennings, a 22-year veteran electric welder.
I think it was really a disgrace, a shame. It knocked all the hopes down for the men. I've been here since I was 13 years old, and I kept hearing Chester going down, going down. Now I can see it. And if we don't get something in here big, in fact, a lot of folks are going to lose their homes.
Chester Mayor Joseph Battle told me he felt the Navy's decision to award the Iowa project to Mississippi smacked of regional discrimination and a lack of Reagan administration sensitivity to Chester's unemployment problem. Pennsylvania Shipbuilding is in the running for a $270 million ship reconditioning contract, and Mayor Battle wants it badly.
I know I'm going to get on the back of our congressional senatorial delegation, and I hope that the people viewing this broadcast do that, because every night you see something closing down, and we're going to have to send a message down in Washington that if they're going to spend money on defense, give us our fair share of it.
The contracts for the reconditioning project will be awarded next month. If Pennsylvania Ship is the choice, 1,000 new jobs will be created. Colin McNeil, Channel 6 Action News in Chester.
More bad news on the local jobs front tonight. The Bud companies lost out on a bid to build 825 subway cars for New York City. Bud officials say it'll mean layoffs of engineers here at their Red Lion plant in the Northeast. Bud lost out to a Canadian firm because the Canadian government offered to help finance the deal. The United States government refused to match the terms. Bud officials say the loss of the job will have a major long-term impact on the company. On the other side of the job picture, several hundred A&P workers start going back to work in the morning. Preparations went on today. The A&P at Progress Plaza in North Philadelphia and Society Hill will reopen under the new name Super Fresh Supermarkets. In all, 24 of the A&P stores that closed in the spring will reopen under a deal struck with the clerks union, a deal to take a pay cut and a piece of the profits. And that same union has a new contract with the state of Pennsylvania tonight. The state liquor store clerks have a contract that allows them to buy liquor stores if the plan to close the state store system goes through. The clerks, meanwhile, get an 8% raise in each of the contract's 2 years. The Philadelphia public school teachers are one step closer to a strike tonight. The contract dispute with the city has been turned over to the State Labor Board, which will decide on Thursday whether or not to appoint a fact finder. Now, that follows the official declaration by the school board that an impasse has been reached. The fact-finding process is a legal requirement before the teachers could strike in the fall. The rank and file's already approved a walkout. Another possible strike in the works, union employees of the city hospitals. Details on this one from Action News reporter Vernon Odom.
Shop stewards representing 13,000 members of the local hospital workers union met tonight to sanction a possible illegal strike against as many as 13 local hospitals, including the three biggest, Hahnemann, Temple, and Jefferson. But the issue is not wages. Their contract does not expire until next summer. The issue is the kind of health care that poor people are getting at local hospitals in the wake of Reagan cutbacks at the federal level and Thornburg cuts at the state level. 1199C's president Henry Nicholas says the cuts in Medicaid money mean the poor, and especially the uninsured, are getting short shrift when they seek non-emergency treatment.
With the hospitals not in a position to transfer those courses, unless there is dire emergency, they are not going to admit a patient who is not able to pay, even though that patient might require admittance.
Plus, thousands of their own members' jobs are threatened because some hospitals are laying off, and Nicholas says 3 major ones could close down, period, under the weight of the slashes in government funding. And what about the potential dire consequences of a union striking in violation of their existing contract?
We believe that our community-based organization are solid in terms of that. We believe that this community will come to our defense as our members are preparing to come to theirs.
City officials are already talking with Harrisburg about ways to satisfy 1199C and avoid an illegal strike. No firm deadline has been set for a strike yet, but the increasingly powerful hospital workers union appears ready to play hardball with the city and the state, charging that health care for the poor in this city has reached a crisis situation. Vernon Odom, Channel 6 Action News in Center City.
We have the first serious charges tonight in the 1982 Pennsylvania gubernatorial race. Democratic candidate Alan Erdl charges campaign irregularities by the Thornburg people. Erdl says the Republican campaign is helping out with letters mailed by private individuals, but not admitting their role in the literature. Erdl wants the state attorney general to investigate. The governor's campaign manager called the charges, quote, desperate and childish. President Ronald Reagan took his proposed new federalism on the road today. Mr. Reagan made a whirlwind tour of Baltimore, checking out areas of urban renewal, then telling a meeting of county officials that his trimmed-down proposal is ready for the Congress. The new plan still calls for the federal government to take over Medicaid. The states would then assume full responsibility for aid to dependent families. The big change is federal retention of the food stamp program, but overall, this new federalism calls for $40 billion worth of social programs to go back to the states to handle as they see fit. The president's nominee for Secretary of State sailed through his first day of Senate hearings today. George Shultz testified at the Senate Foreign Relations Committee on a variety of subjects, most controversial of which is his view on the Middle East. While Shultz said he would continue to recognize this country's support for Israel, he indicated what has been called his personal leaning toward the Arabs.
The crisis in Lebanon makes painfully and totally clear a central reality of the Middle East. The legitimate needs and problems of the Palestinian people must be addressed and resolved urgently and in all their dimensions.
Shultz's approval is expected to be approved by the Foreign Relations Committee tomorrow afternoon and by the full Senate on Thursday. In the Mideast itself, the situation tonight seems to be going from bad to worse. The ceasefire around Beirut is holding, but U.S. envoy Philip Habib told Lebanese President Elias Sarkis today that his efforts to settle the dispute are fading. The PLO made a new set of proposals, but Israel rejected them. An estimated 35,000 Israeli troops are poised to attack West Beirut. So far, the PLO refuses to leave the city. Coming right up on Action News, the first lawsuit in the Louisiana plane crash. The plaintiff is the father of the so-called miracle baby, the tiny survivor who lost her mother and sister. We also have more all-star highlights with Don Tollefson, plus Jim O'Brien with a 5-day forecast from AccuWeather. We'll be right back.
This is the month. Ford month, the final month to get both cash and Ford Care on Escort and on EXP. Ford Care is whole car coverage. Virtually all you pay for is gas. And now special dealer incentives from Ford make it possible for you to save hundreds on other Fords. Granada, Thunderbird, Fairmont, Mustang, and tough Ford pickups. Save on over 6,000 new Ford cars and trucks during Ford month at your Ford dealer.
If you've got blonde hair, red hair, dark hair, or light hair, curly hair, straight hair, lots of hair, or just a little hair, McDonald's has something for you. A free bottle of Vidal Sassoon shampoo.
For every breakfast entree or Big Mac sandwich you buy, McDonald's will give you a 1-ounce bottle of Vidal Sassoon shampoo free. So you'll not only spend your day feeling good, but looking good too.
McDonald's, you go to my head.
You're looking at the most exciting innovation in long distance since the telephone.
This is my telephone, so what's exciting?
Sprint, because Sprint can save you up to 50% on long distance using just your push-button phone.
Oh, sure.
Sprint specializes in long distance.
I could use the specialist.
Well, if long distance is costing you $25 a month or more, call Sprint.
What's that number?
800-521-4949. Sprint, the long distance specialist.
We started to tell you a bit ago that Camden City and County fire officials are investigating a 2-alarm fire. It hit 3 row houses tonight in the 500 block of Vine Street. Fire broke out shortly after 7:30, took only a half an hour to bring under control. Fortunately, all the residents got out safely. The cause, however, is still under investigation. The first of what's bound to be an avalanche of lawsuits was filed today in connection with the crash on Friday of that Pan Am jetliner in Louisiana, a $70 million lawsuit filed by a Michigan couple. They lost 3 daughters and 3 grandchildren in the fiery crash. And the father of this baby girl filed a $15 million lawsuit against both Pan Am and the Federal Aviation Administration. Gabriel Trahan lost his wife and another daughter when his home was incinerated by the falling airliner. The 16-month-old baby Melissa is being called the disaster's miracle baby. She was pulled from the rubble of the crash at her Kenner, Louisiana home, suffering only second-degree burns of her feet. Meanwhile, the grim business of cleaning up from the disaster continues as investigators probe for the cause of the crash. The death toll in the tragedy, by the way, went up tonight officially to 154. One of the victims was 7 months pregnant, and a coroner today issued a death certificate for the unborn child. At least 4 people killed today when 2 passenger trains collided in Alter, Belgium. Authorities say one of the trains ran 3 caution signals at 85 miles an hour before it smashed into the other train. In the Persian Gulf tonight, Iran says its troops overran Iraqi border positions. The fighting broke out late tonight. Iranian forces